Hi everyone, this is Killshot 99 Game. This is The Walking Dead Season 10 finale, Fear, and The World Beyond thoughts. We got some really good information to discuss tonight. There's, well, you know what? The articles are starting to come in, the reviews are starting to come in, so we've got a little bit more. I don't know if it's fodder, but we got a little bit more to discuss. So I saw some really interesting articles about the finale, so I want to get your opinions on that. Before we get too far into tonight's show, let me say a big shout out to Valar, who wants to say hello to the 99 Army. Kills great mods, channel members, patrons, PDL players, sponsors, super chats, all those super stickers that you guys see pop up on the screen as well. And how about a big shout out for our patrons as well? You see them up there on the screen. So don't freak out too much, because tonight we're going to be looking at Morgan a whole lot. But you guys having a good day today? Did you guys, we're 2 days in, so we got to do the reaction. Then we got some good chat last night. It was an extended version of the chat. And today I think we're just going to put a little bit more icing on it. So this is going to be our last Walking Dead chat until Sunday night, because you guys know we got a lot of stuff going on the channel. So tomorrow night we're going to do a little bit of PDL level up for all of our players. And then Friday night, we're going to do our own adventure with PDL. Saturday, we're going to do a little play testing. And Sunday, we'll be back to The Walking Dead. I mean, the one thing about The Walking Dead, I love talking about it. I don't know that there's enough content right now to do an everyday stream and just throw a whole bunch of theories out there. But as the news cycle ramps up, then certainly we're going to be talking about it more and more. So I found this interesting. Our reaction has been really a lot about the Maggie-Negan dynamic, and can they exist, can they not exist? And at first we thought they couldn't, and we thought, well, maybe they can because they'll see other people. So I saw a really good interview with Angela Kang, and this is going to put a little bit of that to rest. This is going to be a big narrative in the next 6 episodes that come out. And this is her quote. She quoted as Maggie versus Negan struggle, and says Maggie is not okay with him being free, and she's also not okay with him palling around with other people. So Maggie's concern is a little bit deeper than maybe even what we initially thought. One, it's like, hey, I have to look at this person. And number two, Maggie's probably going to have some resentment to all the people who did not keep Glenn's legacy alive. You guys follow me with that? I mean, that's a whole different element. Is you could see Maggie helping, but then it's almost like, wait a minute, I didn't know you didn't still have him locked up. So the fact that the people do accept him is probably going to be it's going to be a struggle for her as well. And could you even see that? Could you see Maggie kind of pointing that out to people? That no, she didn't. She didn't leave her say in the matter. She left, so she lost her say. Well, she's here helping. So of course she still has a feeling and has an opinion of what happened to Glenn. She's going to live with that. She's going to play it off. Even if she didn't leave, it wouldn't make it any less personal to her. But could you guys even see that as a future conversation? Of actually calling people out? Maybe even Daryl. Like, how can you disrespect Glenn like that? So more to come on that, and she actually, by she I mean Angela Kang, she says that it's always nice to have a wild card to play around with. So, it's not just speculation at this point. It is part of the story. It is something that is going to be a narrative. So stay tuned for more of that. I want to do a couple of bold predictions because I saw another article that came out, and it was the Masked Ninja. And I'm just going to throw a really weird prediction out there. It's probably one of three things. Okay? Number one, it's a new character we've never seen before. The Walking Dead certainly introduce a new character, not a problem. Number two, it's someone that crossed over from Fear the Walking Dead. Or, number three, and yeah, you may not like this, but I just want to talk about it out loud a little bit. What if it's somebody that we know, somebody like Heath? And maybe he was kind of disfigured or something happened to Heath. I mean, we saw his glasses, and maybe he got broken down, and it could be like a new version that Maggie, yeah, I'm not saying we'll find out anytime soon, but what if Maggie was out there and she, part of her going away was seeing who was out there? And I know some people are going to say, well, Heath is with the Commonwealth, or is Heath with CRM? So here's what's kind of confusing. Some people had said it was going to be this character named Mercer. But Mercer is part of the Commonwealth. So it kind of appears that they're saving Mercer for that story. And we'll get introduced to some of these characters, as they go forward to the next chapter. So just a little bit of research from the comic book. The Commonwealth supposedly was a community of 50,000 people. Now, that's a pretty big community. So, how many people are in Omaha, Nebraska, in the world beyond? $9,671. All right, so here's what's a little bit confusing to me, okay? Just one of those things that's sort of been wearing on my brain a little bit. So we supposedly have the Commonwealth that could have 50,000 people. And then we've got this triad, the CRM with 10,000 here, maybe 10,000 in Portland, some people in New York. So, it's safe to say there's a good 100,000 people floating around out there. Call me petty, call me picky, but wouldn't you think 10 years ago when they were making a trip from Atlanta up to Washington, D.C., that they would have saw a lot more people along the way? Because if there's these packs of all these people, then there had to be several million people between, I don't know, from Atlanta to Greenville, Greenville to Charlotte, Charlotte to Richmond, Richmond to D.C. So it's almost like we were supposed to forget It's a big plot hole, right? Because there would have been literally millions of people or tens of millions of walkers that have been out there. But on this journey, they only ran into like probably 20, 30 people until they got to Alexandria. And then it's like, hey, there's a community. They got like 70 or 80. Hey, there's another community. They got like 60 or 70. So you had like, 400 people all together in this area. But from Atlanta all the way to D.C., only a good 50, 60 people they ran into. Some of them were already cannibals. It's like, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, they could have been cannibals the whole time. But now that I look back on it, it's like, wow, you turned to cannibalism 6 months into the show. There was still a lot of canned goods out there at that point, because there's still canned goods out there. So it's almost like things got a lot better. We learned to. These big groups have learned to make aluminum. They've learned to make their own canned goods and distilleries. What's for dinner, Bob? So sometimes I like to just kind of go back and reflect on the path of the show. And every time we get into dire straits, it's like, all right, well, let's get to the prison because there's nobody else out there anywhere. And I think what's also interesting is, the trip from Atlanta to the trip from Atlanta to Washington, D.C. took how many seasons? 5? Morgan's trip from, now I know it wasn't 5 years, but it took 5 seasons because, a highly populated area back then was Herschel's Farm. But that took 5 seasons. It took Morgan like an hour to walk from Washington to Texas. And now we got these kids from World Beyond that are going to be walking 1,100 miles. Now, there are sites out there doing math. And one of the things in World Beyond, they said, is that they need to make it in 3.5 months before it gets cold. Or they need to make it before it gets cold. So somebody had speculated that if they walk 3 miles per hour, that they could be from Omaha to New York in 3.5 months. Now, that's assuming you're not being chased. You don't have to, spend a whole day chasing a bunch of walkers. There's going to be mountains to climb. There's going to be rivers to cross in some areas. So, yes, certainly not going to be an easy path. I'm not disputing the math here. I'm okay with it, 3.5 months. But certainly it does feel a little bit like a reset. So this appears to be the connection. Fear the Walking Dead, I think, has some pretty strong ties to the World Beyond. And The Walking Dead, bigger ties to the movie. And then ultimately, I'm sure there's going to be ties to both. And are they setting up this big Civil War type of event where it's going to be CRM and Commonwealth. Are they connected in any way? Are they ultimately going to be part of the same group? Are they going to be enemies? Or is it going to split our group where Rick's in one group and then somebody else is in another group? And is it just a bunch of gray area? And then I guess the question's going to be, Daryl and Carol have to have a reason to leave. So how many people here think that it's not going to be this big execution? That it's going to be the group being pulled into the Commonwealth. So maybe we don't get the Rosita, Father G, Coco death. Maybe Carol and Daryl just don't want to be civilized. So they're in one group and they get the opportunity to sort of live a little bit differently. And Carol and Daryl like, hey, we can make more money on the spinoff, so let's not join the Commonwealth. Let's go set up a mini-series. So I think that it's hard to get everybody just to end up in Texas. But we've already seen that Carol, for some reason, wants to go to New Mexico. So in order to get to New Mexico, you got to go through Texas or Nebraska, most likely. So I think that's where you'll get the connection. But I got to be honest. And I'm going to ask you guys this question. I don't know if you're going to be honest with me or not. I'm only going to ask it if you guys are going to be honest. Okay? That's the deal. Because a lot of times, let's be real. We have people that hide behind their fandom. Is Daryl and Carol enough for a miniseries? Think about that for a minute. I'm not asking you, have they not been great on The Walking Dead? I'm not asking you if they're not good actors. I'm just thinking, do we care that much about Daryl and Carol? I don't. I really don't. I mean, I got to be honest with you guys. I'm a Walking Dead fan. I bleed it. I'm not really interested in seeing Ride with Daryl Dixon. I mean, this feels like a sequel to Ride with Norman Reedus. We're going to put Carol on the back of a motorcycle, and we're going to ride to New Mexico, and it's going to be the friendship of Daryl and Carol. So think about all these characters that we show up every week to watch. We got Amy. I would watch a miniseries, but a long show, nah. And I'm not questioning the brilliance of Angela Kang. I'm sure they've given that some thought, and they know their star power more than I do. But it's almost going to be like The Adventures of Dwight and Sherry. All right, let me give you guys a little sneak peek of what the Daryl and Carol thing could turn into. You guys remember the John and June episode? Remember? They were paddling down the river and they were playing board games and living in the cabin and all was good when John and Laura, John and June, whatever her name was, they met. I don't know. I don't know. Exactly. Well, let me ask this question. All right. So name some of your favorite characters on The Walking Dead that you show up every week to see. Jerry, Negan, Father G, Beatrice. Nope, Beatrice isn't there anymore. Eugene, occasional silliness. Everybody. So, I don't think you can kill them all. I don't know how the fans would feel about that. Hey, there's this this execution of all our favorite characters, and Daryl and Carol sneak out. Now we want to watch them go to New Mexico or wherever. They may not even go to New Mexico. They planted that seed, so I'm just kind of thinking about it a little bit. And I'm not saying that other people can't be involved in it, but when they mention The Walking Dead only had one more season and Daryl and Carol get their own show, the first thing that comes to mind is, well, why didn't they just say that The Walking Dead was going to have more than one season if there were going to be more people there? They intentionally want us to start thinking and talking about what a Daryl and Carol spinoff is going to be, and what are we going to call it? We're running out of Walking Dead names. Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, World Beyond. Ride the Walking Dead. So here's the reality, okay? I'm going to give you guys the harsh reality because the thing is, I don't lie to you guys. Not everybody tunes in to The Walking Dead for Daryl and Carol. So if you think that we're losing viewers, I can promise you that a Daryl and Carol spinoff is not going to jumpstart The Walking Dead. It's not. Not saying it won't be good, but it's just getting watered down to a degree. And if you were going to do that, why do we need 3 shows going at one time? Now, hey, if you guys want to push back a little bit and say, well, they're going to make another spinoff. It's going to have all the characters and they're going to be dealing with Commonwealth. Okay. So now we got Walking Dead, we got World Beyond, we got Fear. World Beyond is going to end, and where it ends, something else is going to take over. So we're going to have, instead of the 3 we have now, we may still have Fear, and then we're going to have Daryl and Carol show, and then we'll have a third one again, and it'll be called Commonwealth of the Dead, and we can keep those people on that show, and then as the show dies off, we get a new show and a new show. What's wrong with having one show? Why can't we just get the best of the best together and have one good Walking Dead show again? And look, I'll even make them a deal. All right, here's the deal, okay? If the plot or the ploy is to get us to watch all year long, fine, let's do 32 episodes. I'm fine with 32 episodes. But don't give me 16 episodes of good, 16 episodes of average, and 16 episodes of shit. Because that's what we've been dealing with for the last 3 years. Just give me 32 episodes of awesome. And I'd be okay with that. Give us our summers off. We go to the beach. And then we come back. And around late September, we'll start watching. And we'll watch all the way through. Give us a couple weeks off for Christmas. And then we'll go all the way to like May. And we're good. And then you can just go crazy filming. You can film during the summer. And then you can film a little bit in the fall. And then we'll just be entertained for like 32 episodes. And make it The Walking Dead. I'm just throwing it out there as a suggestion. To me, I think that's what the fans want. And in your good stories can be great stories on one show. The bad actors, they don't have to be cast. Look, we never would have put Jimbo the Beerbo on The Walking Dead. Do you guys agree with that? Like, that never would have been written in. Or Sharpie Lady. All right, so I don't know how you guys are going to like this, but I do have a little bit of Fear of the Walking Dead news. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but let's discuss it. Because I heard this last season, and it's a little bit weird. Okay, it's almost like I'm going through deja vu. So, Alicia Debnam Carey said that this season they're going to switch it up a little bit. Okay, we've heard that before, right? They're going to do something a little different because every year they like to try something a little different. So this is what they're going to do a little bit different. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear to you, I heard this last season. And she says, I'm paraphrasing, it's going to be more like movie vignettes, and they're going to have a focus on the character. I kid you not. They said that last year, and then it turned into speeches. I'm not making this up. They said when they started doing these little shorts, the little scripts. Remember the little mini things that we had to watch, and they didn't answer half of them? And they said they were going to zoom in on the characters, and it's going to be a character focus. They did that last year, at the beginning of last year, where it was kind of like Alicia's little story and then Morgan's little story. So apparently they're going to do it again, but it's going to be different this year. Because at the end is when they all kind of got together. Right, they are all split up. But the thing is, even last season, they did it to a degree. You guys remember? Let's think about, I might be like rehashing some bad memories for everybody. You guys remember the John, June, and Dwight episode? The San Antonio split? Was that not a movie vignette? Was that not a character focus episode? It's exactly what it was. It was the three of them. Okay, do you guys remember the Wes story with Wes and Alicia? And the whole little outlaw scene that they had? That was just them. No, before the painting trees, like the introduction of Wes. Do you guys remember Morgan and Grace being trapped in the mall with the other guy? Whatever his name was? Did they not do a whole episode of just them three in the mall? So what the hell is she talking about? That's exactly what they did last season. I had to do a double take and see if this was an article that was written 2 years ago, and it was not. The episode where they broke into Jenny's little hotel fortress, that was only a few people as well. It was a couple more, but my point is, it's all last season was from the perspective of a couple characters until the very end, when they just did whatever, the wedding. So as excited as I am about Fear, now I'm pausing a little bit before we've even started. Now, look, it ain't gonna be a deal breaker. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna talk about it, but I do have to say it did quill a little bit of my excitement going into this week. So Tim said, I think what they're doing this year is flashbacks will be in color and present day in black and white. So that's going to mix it up. That would be like the opposite of the Madison season, right? So it's like, hey, let's do something different. We went black and white to color. This year, let's go color to black and white. Really throw them off. Those clever rascals, they got us this year. So, um, so they got to give us something to talk about, right? The Morgan story does interest me. But the problem is, like, we may want it to be Morgan was bitten or Morgan was almost dead, and this is like hybrid Morgan. And Ian and Andrew, they're too smart for their own good. What they'll do is they'll have some deep-rooted medical condition that you got to go through tons of WebMD pages in order to find out. And come to find out, it's a result of, your oxygen level fell below 50% when he was in the building and he wasn't rescued in time and he had a slight aneurysm which caused 2 red eyes. It'll be something like that. It won't be anything good. Like, we're hoping it's something that we can kind of talk about and it's something different. But it's going to be something weird. I just feel it. I feel they're just too clever for their own good. Let's make Morgan the first person ever that is bit that is not going to turn. See, that would be something. Look, if the show's only got 3 or 4 more years, do it. Take a chance. Make him the hybrid. I want Morgan to be the hybrid. Right? See, Diana, that's my problem. So she says, my brother's eyes do that. It's probably from ibuprofen. That's probably what they did. They're like, Morgan took too much aspirin. And that was a reaction. Like, here's the last time I was fooled by Fear the Walking Dead. Max Headroom. Like, I thought Logan was going to be that bad guy. It had a good feel to it. Like, I thought he's going to be some sinister, twisted, hard to understand person. Next thing I know, they got him following them on the highway. In fact, the big story, you guys remember the big story with Logan? He ruined the soles of his shoes because he walked so far. That was it. That was his claim to fame. He followed behind them. They left him. And then, he's out there and gets shot. I know, I'm bringing back the past. So, Joey, I think it's a good point. And I certainly feel like that was the intent. He says, the only reason I'm watching Fear is because of Morgan and Dwight. So, you guys feel a little bit neglected, like Morgan and Dwight should have added a lot more pop to the show? And right now it feels like they were just brought into bad writing. See, this is why I'm optimistic. Because I was really excited to see Alicia's character last season, that she was finally going to be over the Madison situation. And I swear, a couple episodes in, she's sitting there spouting off about what her mom wanted her to do. And it's like, damn it, here we go again. We're doing this again. And then it went into speeches and then grace and then radiation. Now, with all of that being said, there's potential. I know I say this every year. Morgan, Dwight, Alicia, Grace, Al, Daniel, Charlie, Sherry. There is some potential on the show. That's not a bad group. It's not a bad group if they do what they teased us last season when they were all standing there in the promo like they were going to kill somebody. But boy, did they get weak. All right, I feel compelled to read this. And certainly I value Jason's opinion. But I mean, this is almost a solicitation of an opinion. I look at it differently. I think it shows a different way of living, kind of the same concept, but different ways. It's not horrible, guys. Come on. No, it's horrible sometimes, Jason. It really is. I get it. It shows a different way. But there are some episodes that are bad. It can be horrible. And I agree with that. Joey says sometimes it's not worth watching. You know, some people like rice cakes. Some people like rice cakes with peanut butter. But there are very few episodes to where we do these scoring and people are saying, and Jason, specifically to you and Hart, I don't remember a lot of episodes where you guys said, oh my God, that Fear episode, that's a 10. So good. This is the best episode ever. And you know why? Because very few people do that when we talk about Fear. They've found a way to take some very good characters and what are they waiting on? We should not even call Dwight Dwight. We should call him DeWrong. I don't know what we need to call him. But certainly, they took two really, really good characters in The Walking Dead, and they have not lived up to their potential. Now, as I said before, could they? Could the show take a drastic turn? Sure. But they need to get with it. They need to get to it. Fear the Walking Dead has been get us close to something and then kind of let us down. When you see what Dwight and what Morgan used to do, and then you see them taken prisoner by less than weak villains, it makes them twice as weak as they were on the mothership. Does that make sense? I'll get to that one second. Fluff says, sometimes it feels like scenes are building to a few episodes, but they rarely pay. Exactly my thought, Fluff. I could not have said that any better. So, let's just backtrack through the last 3 or 4 botched villains. Mel the Vulture. Logan. Jenny. Okay, and here's a question for you. I don't know that I want to go back and watch it. Okay, I was not a big Madison fan. But how many of you would sit in a car while your mom is bringing all the walkers inside a stadium and not turn the radio up or blow the horn or, do wheelies or donuts around the walkers or do something? How many would just kind of sit there and, oh, what are you doing, Mom? And then have some speech over the radio? So, we can debate use of the word horrible. I could come up with something different, Jason. Terrible. Excruciating at times. Like dropping a brick on my foot. There's a lot of other words we can use to describe it. But sometimes it's I don't have a word. Sometimes it's just bad, man. It doesn't mean it's bad for everybody. I would just say it's bad for most of the people that are in these streams that we talk about. It doesn't mean a few people won't like it. It doesn't mean it doesn't have some good points. In fact, there's some things that they do that I do like, if that's the way you're going to do it. So it kind of brings me back to the point of Alicia, her interview, where she said they're going to do something a little bit different. They're going to try something a little bit different. Well, look at what they've tried. Now, the first season, I liked it. You got Nick, you got the drug problem, you got, these houses, the military, you get on a boat and they're doing something a little bit different with the boat, and then they go down to Mexico. So, and then the Travis issue, it wasn't bad. Where I thought they started losing it was when they got into the Evil Dead mode. It's when they got into kind of the slapstick part of it, where you got Troy, and then you got Mexico, and then they're maybe in Arizona, maybe New Mexico. I don't know where they were. And then they get split up, and they manage to find each other. And then Madison goes looking for Nick, and then it's like they just always just keep coincidence, right? Where everything just sort of falls in their lap. I mean, hell, the group on Walking Dead, they couldn't find Rick for like 2 years, but boy, Madison can find Nick like 300, 400 miles away. So it was kind of that. And then Proctor John, and then the bridge. So, look, I mean, I've been right there with you guys since day one. But I think every time you get potential, to Fluff's point, you get disappointment. I thought Troy had potential. I thought Mel had potential. So we give up Troy, who could have been a good villain. We give up Mel, who could have been a good villain. And we roll out, wait for it, the Sharpie lady. Come on now. Really? You take out Troy, you take out Mel, and you give me like 5 or 6 episodes of a Sharpie lady? So let me ask this question. How many people feel like it was rushed and they were just making this stuff up as they went? That's why it wasn't never congruent. That they had what they thought they wanted to do, and they roll out Logan, and hey, maybe we can make Logan into something, and then they just kill Logan off. So it's like Troy could have been something, and then they couldn't do anything with it, and then Mel could have been, and then the way... I mean, one of the best scenes of Fear the Walking Dead, bear with me for a second, was Mel outside that stadium eating a hot dog. And Madison walks out and he's like, Wiener? I mean, that. And I'm not even joking. I'm serious. I'm dead serious this moment. I was like, whoa, that's a cold-hearted dude there. He's just out there having a freaking cookout in front of your stadium, and there ain't nothing you gonna do about it. Now let me fast forward. You guys remember the epic showdown between Mel and Alicia and Morgan? And they were crossfire and shooting each other. Now, he didn't seem like the same Mel anymore, did he? He didn't seem like. Now, what would have been cool is if Mel would have still been a badass. Imagine if Mel would have showed up to that gunfight with a charcoal grill, a little tailgating party. Alicia and them pull up. Mel pulls out a hot dog. He takes a bite of hot dog and then kills Morgan or somebody. Strand, I don't care. Anybody. And then becomes a villain. But they took Mel. He got blown up in the back of a truck, and Alicia goes over and finishes him off. And it's like, wait a minute, did Mel just die? Where's the villain? Where's the good stuff? And it was just the most nonchalant thing. There was nothing to it, no feeling, nothing to fear. It's Fear the Walking Dead. You put fear in the title. And there's nothing to fear at this point. Now, why do I go through all this negative stuff with Fear the Walking Dead? And I know some people are like, dude, you're like really bashing Fear the Walking Dead. Why are you even going to watch it? Potential. Because it has too much opportunity. All you got to do is just throw these actors a bone. All you got to do is just change it a little bit. But come on, Alicia, don't tell me that we're going to do something a little bit different and it's going to be movie vignettes with more of a character focus. No, that's not what I want to hear. This is what I want to hear. I want to hear this season. Oh boy, we got an evil like you guys have never seen before, and the group is finally going to be unleashed. See, that'd be like putting a steak in front of me. I would just start like drooling. That would make me say, man, I can't wait. I'm so excited. But now I want to see what's going on with Morgan. I hope they develop the story. I think it'd be cool if they do. I want it to be buzzworthy. Unleash the Dory. I agree, Maggie. Unleash John Dory. Unleash the Whitey boy. He better not. Now that he's going to have Sherry there, he better not be super wimping out. He better be like old Whitey boy. Get that mojo back. You know, Nixie, that to me is a great opportunity as well. But again, you got Dwight, you got Morgan, and now you got the opportunity with Sherry. Please don't let Sherry get punked by some Jenny, unless you're going to give me, maybe spend the first 2 episodes. Jenny can have like a lineup scene and just, Lucille a couple people. That might kind of get me into the mode. But I feel like they might waste some opportunity with Jenny. I mean, Jenny's weird. And in some cases, your villains can be a little bit dark. They can be a little bit weird. I mean, she was eating a jam sandwich a few episodes back. But Logan kind of had that too. I agree. Dark Princess says Daniel, no doubt. Daniel was torturing people, even gave him a cool backstory. Where's badass Salazar? No doubt about it. You know, and to follow up on that, Dimes, the show could be almost as good as The Walking Dead. The actors are very good. That's exactly why we need one Walking Dead. We don't need World Beyond. We don't need Daryl and Carol. We need the best of these actors and just double it up. Here's the way I would do it. I would do The Walking Dead Season 12, Part 1, and that would be your January through May. Walking Dead Season 12, Part 2, and that would be the rest of it. If you want to do movie vignettes and you want to do focus on a character, first tie the universe all together. Let's not pretend like these people don't know each other or know that they're out there, or we're 5 years and 2 years and 3 years. I think that's the part that's messing with people. It's, okay, well, when did this happen? I don't know. How long did it take him to walk from Washington, D.C. to Texas? We could scrap all of that crap. And we could just say, hey, if you like Daniel and you like Dwight and you like John, then there's going to be more of a focus on them the first half of the year. And if you like Eugene and you like Rosita and you like that group, there's going to be more of a focus on them the second half of the year because they're in different parts. But it doesn't mean you couldn't have a crossover episode here or there. It's just I think they're a victim of their own success. But I'm just a pundit. I'm just a person here to talk about it. Clearly, I'm not writing for the show. But to me, that's the magic formula. That's the thing. What's the end game here? I mean, let's be honest. When they have 3 different franchises, what's the point? I mean, we can be honest. And I want you guys to be completely honest. How does Walking Dead make their money? It's ads, right? So they don't roll out a new story just because they're doing a public service to the world. They're rolling it out because they want to reel us in and they want us to watch their show 48 weeks out of a 52-week year. So my question would be, let me start with a statement before I get to a question. There are a lot of people that only watch The Walking Dead. Raise your hand if you only really care about The Walking Dead and you don't really care about Fear the Walking Dead or World Beyond. All you care about is The Walking Dead. Now, more people that watch the playback, I would say most of this audience is sort of bought into all the episodes, but I do have a group of viewers that only show up for The Walking Dead, and we talk about Fear, and they barely show up for Fear. The verdict's still out on World Beyond because they spend a whole lot of time explaining their character and their backstory and everything else. Well, believe it or not, we might not be that group, but there is a group that only likes The Walking Dead. So if your end game is to get everybody to watch and be invested in your show, make it one show. That way you kind of have no choice to watch because, hey, this week might be Daryl and Carol. We don't know. Next week might be Morgan and Grace. We don't know. But one thing we would know is that they're all connected, and it's not 5 years ahead, 2 years back. Is Morgan old? Is Morgan the same Morgan? Then you can just make everybody what they are. No, I disagree. Totally, Moonshot. What I'm saying is, if it's not more money, more shows. In fact, it's probably less money, more shows, because you keep additional production units, you keep additional actors, some of which are not very good actors, some are great. The viewership, how many people typically watch The Walking Dead? 2 to 3 million. How many people typically watch Fear the Walking Dead? 500 to 600,000. They usually don't have 1 million people watching. I mean, let that sink in for a little bit. 500 to 600,000. So if you made it one big franchise, and let's say we split the difference, then you're going to get 2 million people a week. So, do I think there's people that only watch Fear? Wow. Why would you do that to yourself? I mean, maybe there's one or two. I mean, maybe Alicia's mother in real life, relatives of the actors, but it ain't a lot. So, Dark Princess, I'm going to tell you, the world beyond is going to have some problems. It is, it's not going to get good reviews. It's not going to get good ratings. It'll be accepted by the Walking Dead community. But I watched that from a very, very neutral perspective. And because I'm a professional, Joey, this is what I do. That's how I know. It's not, look, it's not lighting up the Nielsen ratings. And here's the thing. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's targeted for a younger audience. And most of the people watching it are Walking Dead fans. And Walking Dead fans are not your 14 to 22-year-old age group. It's exactly my point, Joey, is the people who watch it are going to be the Walking Dead fans for the most part, and they're going to try to target a new audience. And I don't know that they connected with that audience, because most of the characters were speaking like they were 40 years old. So it's an advanced group of teens who are going out on a mission that completely describe their entire backstory and all the pain and hurt and trials that they went through. I don't think it's going to be bad. I just don't know that it's going to be. I don't even know if it'll compete with Fear, to be honest with you. Well, let me put it this way, and I'll ask a question. Take your Walking Dead hats off for a second. What was better? The first episode of The Passage or the first episode of Walking Dead World Beyond? From a strictly entertainment standpoint. The Passage was. And The Passage didn't even make it a season, man. So the bar's pretty high. And I wish the Passage would be picked up. And look, I know it's a different style. And that's why I said from a strictly entertainment standpoint, The Passage got out of the gates. It did some good stuff. The World Beyond, they're telling that story and getting us into that. And it's like, when's it going to click? When's it going to jump in there? And it may, but I just don't know that it was slam dunk. Look, I'm not giving up on the show. I'm going to watch it for 2 years. But I think their value is going to be, Joey, I think you made a perfect point. You said you watched it because of CRM. Well, that's exactly what I said. If we're watching a spinoff just for CRM, why do we need a spinoff? Why could it not be worked into a main show? That's the only point I'm really making, is that I feel like the only reason they made spinoffs was not to help the audience. I think they made the spinoffs because their whole plan last year was to get us to watch The Walking Dead, and they even said as much. We're going to have you watching The Walking Dead 44 out of 52 weeks. And of course, it didn't work out that way because of the pandemic. But I don't know that I would have been entertained for 44 out of 52 weeks. But if you go to Nebraska and then you go to Texas and then you show a little bit of the main show and you kind of merge all these things in, I think our audience would love it and would appreciate it and would love and embrace the new characters. Because the biggest thing that I get questioned on and the biggest thing that we get pushback on is, what's the time frame? It's confusing. And what makes it more confusing is layoffs. I sounded like Jim Mora, right? Playoffs. Well, layoffs, because you're 2015 and one, and then you got to wait 6 months to watch it again, and then you go to another show and it's 2020, and then you forget what happened, and then you got to go back. It's like, wait a minute, what year were we in? And I think that just, when you want kind of like crazy entertainment, you don't want to think that much. You like to think when it's CSI and when it's Easter eggs, but we got to, what Tim Lamore say earlier, we got to do color black and white to decide if we're current or we're not current. It's confusing when you got to change the vantage point to let people know what you're doing. Yeah, there were in Omaha. Well, there's 9,670 because the doctor that had oxygen, she died. So initially there were 9,671. And apparently there's a lot less than that because it looks like it looks like Elizabeth just started killing them, right? The wall's broken down. Felix is out there trying to find them. So, did they really just kill 9,000 people? To get one person? You couldn't have saved a few of those? There was a lot of dead people out there. I don't think they were just walkers, but it felt like, hey, they got away. Let's just kill all the rest of them because we were only here for the girl anyway. But you guys know I'm going to have a question already. What's up, Goucher Goucher? So, if they were just there for hope, they probably could have taken her that night, right? When Elizabeth was out there drunk. If your whole goal is to take her, there were only like 3 of them out there. Felix was out there, Iris was out there, and Hope was out there. Now, it's one episode. I'm not gonna go like super petty and break it down this point. I'm interested to see what the next step is. And I agree. I'm like many of you. I want to see it play out. I love the connections. It works for me as a Walking Dead fan. We'll see. I don't want to predict doom and gloom. It's not gonna cancel at the end of a season. But I can also see why they said they're going to do a 2-year deal and just see what kind of audience they pick up. See if they can start to jumpstart a younger group of Walking Dead fans. Oh, did we talk fear? Yeah, we talked fear. I wanted to do something a little bit different tonight, and I wanted to lower the bar with fear. That's why I kind of bashed it a little bit, and I want to bring up the last 5 seasons. Is if the bar is low, I think we'll jump it. I think we'll clear it. Because for me, the bar was pretty high last year. The promo was great. I thought we're finally going to have like a good villain with Logan, and it just didn't pan out. So this year, I want to go in and say, we know what's there. We know we got good people. We know we got an opportunity. Now exceed expectations. Make us long for the TV show. I'm just so tired of saying, well, hey, I watch Fear and I'm along for the ride, and it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. I'm going to be here. We're going to talk about it. That's true. But I want to be able to say, man, Fear was so freaking good, guys. What did you guys think about that reaction? I can't wait to see it next week. What's going to happen? I want that. And I think if we're all honest with ourselves, we haven't felt that way about Fear in a long time. Now, I have gotten a lot of compliments on the micro. Does it really sound that much different? More clear, stereo, like I'm right there talking to you? All right. Mission accomplished. So, look, hey, you guys, we've been doing this for a long time. We've been doing, 6 years of videos and streams. And a lot of times when I have this micro, it does feel like we're sitting around a campfire and I'm speaking open and honestly to you guys. You guys get complete, we joke, we have a good time with it, but you get some unfiltered opinions. And I know we're not always going to agree on it, but that's the beauty of our channel. I'm always looking to read a comment or to call you guys out. A lot of times you guys type something like, "Oh my God, he just read it." Well, you typed it. I didn't type it. If you type it, it's fair game, and I think that's what makes good dialogue. Is I'm not always going to agree with Moonshot or Kel or Nixie or Sheila, but that's the fun in our open and honest debates. And I told you guys a long time ago, we're always going to be fans of the show. The show is what brought us together. The show is what has grown our channel and keeps us together. Doesn't mean that we're going to like every episode because we don't. I don't. Um, but I've never had a day where I stopped watching it. Now, we did stop doing streams for Fear the Walking Dead about 3 years ago. And that was that I can't ever forget it. It was that scene about the dam and about water, and it was an hour of that. And after that, I decided like I'm not gonna stream Fear the Walking Dead because we had a lot of other things going on. I still watched it, but people were just kind of frustrated at the end of that episode, and it was just best that we sort of took a little bit of a break from it. And then they came back, and it was stronger, and we kicked it up the next season. They were Dark Princess, and I would say the first 2 seasons I really liked. I didn't like 3. 3's where it started getting too convenient. I liked the first 2, and 3 really threw me for a loop. And then 4 was good, and 5 was bad. So for me, it was like 1 and 2 were good, 3 was bad, 4, and then last season. Yeah, me too, Sheila. That was the part where I felt like they were struggling. And then, when they introduced John and they brought Morgan over, it felt good again. And then we had, the stadium, and for the most part, the stadium felt good. Of course, you guys know how I feel about wasting mail, but um, I like that. I like that they were rebuilding. There were some really good parts with that. And even when they got like super convenient, I liked it. You guys may disagree, but I loved the episode with Alicia and Charlie stuck in the basement and the water filling up. And I was totally cool with the walker falling and freeing them. If that's the direction that they were going to go and it was all going to be about the supernatural, I was fine with that. What I didn't like is when they kind of bounce it back and forth. If your whole motivation to writing is going to be let's get them in a lot of trouble and it takes a miracle to save them, okay, then I can kind of laugh at that. But if it happens 3 or 4 episodes and it doesn't, then, to me, it looked like they were just confused about how they wanted to approach the audience. And we've hit about an hour and a half. See, these casual chats, they just turn into the group getting together, hanging out, having a good time. And believe it or not, this is what we do on a lot of our streams. There's a lot of fun, a lot of casual nature to our PvP matches, to our Friday night. So I'll just say to you guys, if you guys miss not just talking about The Walking Dead, if you miss being a part of our group, then we stream multiple nights per week. So jump in to The Walking Dead chat. Jump in even if you're not playing PvP. A lot of these same people will be there. Say hello, show a little bit of support, show a little bit of love for our team. Hang out with us on a Friday night, and I'll take you guys through some stories, some action, some engagement, and of course, jump into our reaction streams, our breakdown streams, and our bold predictions. And you'll probably see a little bit more of that as a cycle. Starting next week, we are going to be back to our Play Dead Live schedule. So Monday night, we'll do our reaction Sunday night. We're going to be doing Play Dead Live Monday. We're going to be doing Walking Dead on Tuesday. We're going to be doing Play Dead Live on Wednesday. We're going to be doing Walking Dead on Thursday. So you guys kind of see kind of the activity. All right. With that being said, me and my clear microphone are going to wind down for the night. Once again, thanks for everything that you guys do. Big shout out to our Patreons, our PDL sponsors, our green team up there on the screen, our moderators, Julia, Amy, Ben, Kel, Tommy, and the 999 Army. And tonight, that's right, Sheila, with the new mic, I'm going to do our sub shouts. So everybody give me a quick 999 and let's see how fast, how clear, and how many people I can acknowledge from our group. So I'll start out right now with Rebecca Mendez, Nav Malcolm, Unforeseen, Hippo in the house, Father Ron, Jason Moonshot, Big Day in the house, Julia Muse, Jan Step, Donnie T on the backup, drug free, so put the crack up. No need for speed, I'm anti, DRUGGI. All right, Villar, thank you. Sheila Beasley, Amy Bones, Diana C, Miss the Drunk. You've been drunk for a long time, Miss. Come on now. Sam B, Dark Princess, always great to see you back. Busy B, B-Dub in the house. Heart of Nixie, Northside Queen. Superman, Bat-Mat, Ninja. That's a name. That's a long name right there, Matt. You guys see Kel. You see Samantha Coombs. Thank you. Goucher. Thank you, Terry. Good to see you. Sheila B. I think I'm pretty good. I see Coco. I don't think I missed anybody yet. Have I missed anybody? If I did, type it again. I'll try to get you in here real quick before we wind it down. And should I close it down with a dance video? I don't know. I don't know if the Walking Dead fans can handle a dance video. What do you guys think? All right. Let's do it. Let's do a new one. All right, everybody. Have a good night.